If you were into knives 10 to 15 years ago, you probably had a Kershaw. Assisted openers, cool Ken Onion designs, budget friendly, they were everywhere. But over time, brands like Civivi and Kaiser took over that budget to the mid tier market. So, what happened to Kershaw and are they making a comeback? This won't be a deep dive into Kershaw and their history, but some quick background wouldn't hurt. Kershaw originally started with classic American knives before being bought out by Kai, a large Japanese corporation in the late 90s. Back then, you might have seen a knife like this. This is a much older design called the Black Horse. It's a really simple lockback made of 1060 steel. This is nothing pretty, but it's very functional. Before fancy flipper tabs and assisted openings, this would have been commonplace. Kershaw has a long history, but let's now fast forward to the great time of the 2010s. It was around this time that I was coming back into this hobby. I'd always had knives, but typically those found at flea markets or garage sales. Nothing ever of true quality. Think buck 10 knockoffs from Pakistan or generic slip joints with cracked scales or missing shield inlays. Otherwise, pretty much junk. It was around this time I had my first teenage job working at a trucking company, and I was able to witness all my coworkers carrying knives. It was at this time where I was introduced to Kershaw, and I was pretty quickly hooked. They had all these amazing designs with modern flair, mainly everyone's favorite Ken Onion, and due to their speed-safe assisted opening, these blades would rocket out like nothing I'd ever seen before. Many of these models, such as the Leak, Skyline, and the Cryo, were mainstays and defined EDC in the early 2010s. I can still remember all the Cryos and Reddit posts and just fawning over it until I finally got one in hand. Back then, Kershaw was the big player in this space for great value folders. So what happened? Kershaw quickly started leaning heavily into assisted, Chinese-made models with flashy designs but little innovation. Countless designs were pushed out, one with a new gimmick here or a new flashy design here, but overall it's the same. Kershaw started mass-producing knives that started to all follow the same framework. Chinese-made, assisted, flipper tab, and featuring an 8CR13 MOV blade. Slap on a new paint job on it, and you basically had Kershaw's entire lineup. It was around this time that several new makers started to creep into this space. Civivi and Kaiser merged into the market with better materials, think upgraded steels of D2 and 14C28N, with higher fit and finish, often at similar price point of Kershaw's offerings. In my eyes, it seemed like Kershaw was dethroned almost overnight. All the Kershaw cryos and leaks on Reddit and Instagram were quickly replaced with Civivi Elementums or Kaiser sheepdogs. Enthusiasts like myself started to prefer manual flippers and higher quality steels, and Kershaw was kind of quickly left behind. It took a while, but eventually they started to innovate, but it was just too late. They upgraded their blade steel to D2, which is a huge jump from 8CR13 MOV, but it just felt a little too late compared to the competitors using 14C28N or 154CM. Here's one of those models that try to hit back. This is the Collateral, D2 frame lock carbon fiber inlay. Though still using their speed-safe assisted opening, it at least felt like a step in the right direction, but it just wasn't enough. At one point, it felt like Kershaw was stuck, neither fully budget nor premium, just kind of lost in the middle. Sometime later, Kershaw did something that surprised me. They released this knife right here. This is the Federalist. It marked a shift. USA made, non-assisted, traditional styling, quality CPM 154 blade, and all around the $100 mark. Though a slightly weird design with a double detent locking, it appealed to more mature collectors looking for simplicity and heritage rather than just flash. I mean, look at these two knives put together. They could not be further apart. One is flashy with carbon fiber and a quick opening method compared to this rugged and old school folder. It's kind of ironic that when Kershaw went back in time with his vintage design, they actually took a step forward for a lot of people, myself included. It felt like Kershaw was starting to remember what made them special in the first place. Even after the Federalist, Kershaw wasn't really on my radar. I had turned my attention to Kaiser, Wii, etc. Yet one day I happened to stumble on some leaked pictures of an upcoming knife. It featured the hyped MagnaCut blade steel, a crossbar lock, and insanely gorgeous champagne aluminum handles. I had to have it. Imagine my surprise when I learned it was coming out of Kershaw. It was even more unbelievable as it was a USA production and a great price around $150. The premium materials and incredibly crisp action again acted as proof Kershaw was listening to enthusiasts like you and me. Once I got it in hand, it was euphoric. It quickly became my favorite purchase of the year and honestly my favorite folding knife in my collection. Comparing it to Kaiser and Civivi's offerings, and now even more premium brands like Benchmade or Hogue, it finally feels competitive again. It's wild to think that the same brand that gave us $30 assisted flippers is now putting out a sleek, American-made MagnaCut EDC, and that's a serious comeback move. Today, Kershaw is no longer the budget king it once was, but maybe it's a brand rediscovering its roots. Now, what do you think? Do you think Kershaw is now on the right track with knives like the Bel Air, or is it a little too late? Let me know down in the comments, as I'd love to hear about your experiences with this brand. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.